Good evening, everyone. We will start at around 6:15. Please invite your other classmates so that we could start at that time. While waiting for your other classmates, I'll be showing another video. So it will be finished at around before 6:15.
Ano ba ang batas na tinatawag na Anti-Violence Against Women and Children o VAUSI Law? Ang batas na Anti-Violence Against Women and Children o Republic Act No. 9262 ay ang batas na nagproprotekta at nagpaparusa laban sa pananakit sa kababaihan at sa kanilang mga anak ng kanilang mga asawa, karelasyon o dating karelasyon.
Ako po ay sinasaktan ng aking boyfriend. Pwede po ba akong magsampa ng reklamo sa ilalim ng BAWC law?
Maaari po. Ang pananakit sa isang babae ng kanyang kasintahang lalaki, ex-boyfriend, asawa, dating asawa, dating partner, o dating dating partner ay saklaw ng batas ng VAUSI Law.
Ako po ay isang membro ng LGBT community. Sinasaktan po ako ng ex-girlfriend. Maaari po ba akong magsampa ng reklamo sa ilalim ng batas na ito?
Pwede po. Ang batas na ito ay sumasaklaw sa mga pananakit sa kababaihan ng kanilang karelasyon, siya man ay lalaki o babae.
Ang aking anak po ay sinasaktan ng aking live-in partner. Maaari rin po ba akong magsampa ng reklamo ayon sa batas na ito?
Maaari po. Ang batas na VAUSI ay nagpaparusa sa pananakit sa kababaihan o sa kanyang anak.
Ang aking anak po ay sinasaktan ng kanyang teacher sa eskwelahan. Maaari rin po ba akong magsampa ng reklamo gamit ang batas na ito?
Hindi po maaari. Ang saklaw ng batas na ito ay ang pananakit sa isang bata ng kanyang ama o ama-amahan or stepfather. Ang pananakit ng isang guro ay saklaw ng ibang batas.
Paano naman po kung ang aking anak ay sinasaktan ng aking asawa? Ay anak ko po sa pagkadalaga at hindi naman niya anak. Sakop pa rin po ba ang batas na ito ang reklamo ko?
Sakop pa rin po ito ng batas na VAUSI. Ang ating batas ay hindi naglilimita sa anak lamang ng magkarelasyon. Kung hindi, ang anak sa pagkadalaga ng isang ina ay kasama sa binibigyang proteksyon ng batas na ito.
Paano naman po kung 18 years old na ang aking anak na sinasaktan ng aking live-in partner? Pwede po ba magsampa ng kaso gamit ang batas na ito?
Dahil nasa wastong gulang na ang inyong anak, hindi na siya saklaw sa batas ng VAUSI. Ngunit, maaari siyang magsampa ng kaso gamit ang ibang batas na naaangkop sa pananakit na ginawa sa kanya. Maliban na lamang kung ang inyong anak ay may problema sa kaisipan o walang sariling kakayahan na proteksyonan ang kanyang sarili. Sa ganitong sitwasyon, maaari niyo pa rin gamitin ang batas na VAUSI upang maproteksyonan ang inyong anak.
Ano-ano nga bang klaseng pananakit ang saklaw ng batas na ito?
Ang batas na ito ay pinoproteksyonan ang kababaihan laban sa mga pang-aabuso kagaya ng physical violence o ang pananakit na pisikal sa iyo o sa iyong mga anak. Emotional o psychological violence, kagaya ng pananakot na ikaw at ang iyong mga anak ay sasaktan. O ang pagpilit sa iyo na gawin ang isang bagay na labag sa iyong kalooban. Kasama na rin dito ang pananakot na tatanggalin ang karapatan at kustodiya ng iyong anak sa iyo. Ang paulit-ulit na pagsasabi ng masamang salita laban sa iyo o tinatawag na verbal abuse o paggawa ng anumang bagay na maglilimita ng galaw mo o ng iyong mga anak dahil sa takot. Kasama rin dito ang intensyonal na pagsunod sa mga galaw mo saan ka man magpunta o ang tinatawag na stalking. Ang pagsilip at pagmamatyag sa iyong tahanan ay kasama rin dito. Ang pagpasok o pananatili sa tahanan mo nang labag sa iyong kalooban. Ang pananakit sa iyong mga alagang hayop at iba pang gawain na nagdudulot ng harassment. Isa pang sakop na saklaw ng VAUS law ay ang sexual violence o ang mga gawaing sexual na ginawa laban sa kababaihan. Kagaya ng rape, sexual harassment o acts of lasciviousness. Saklaw nito ang pagtrato sa iyo o sa iyong anak bilang sex object. Pisikal na paghawak sa mga masiselang bahagi ng iyong katawan, pagpilit na panoorin ng mga palabas na nagpapakita ng malalaswang gawain, pagpilit sa iyo na gumawa ng malalaswang bagay, kasama na ang pagre-record nito o paggawa ng video labag sa iyong kalooban. Pagpilit sa iyo na tumira kasama ang kalaguyo ng iyong asawa, pagpilit na matulog sa parehong kwarto kasama ng iyong nananakit na asawa o karelasyon. Saklaw din ng batas na ito ang pagpilit na makipagtalik sa iyo gamit ang dahas o pananakot na ikaw ay sasaktan. Kasama na rin dito ang pagbebenta ng isang babae o ng kanyang anak sa prostitusyon. Economic abuse o ang paglilimita sa kababaihan na maging financially independent. Kagaya ng hindi pagbibigay ng suportang pinansyal, pagbabawal sa isang babae na magtrabaho, magnegosyo, o mag-practice ng kanyang propesyon.
Okay, good evening everyone.
Good evening, sir.
Okay, so yan, good evening din. We will continue our discussion today. So yesterday, sino ba sa inyong hindi present kahapon? Present ba mo tanan gahapon?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so
Opo,
today
sir.
today I'll proceed to some theories na parte ng deviant place theory. If you could still remember yesterday, we have discussed about deviant place theory. Ayan, so let me just share the tab. Ayan. Okay, can you see it already? Makita ba
Yes,
niyo?
sir.
Okay. So, let me just proceed next. Ayan. Deviant place theory, again, it is anchored on the word deviance, which is any behavior that violates social norms. So, ang deviance, pwede siyang criminal or non-criminal. Ayan. When I say criminal na deviance, yung mga actions or mga gawain na kung saan parehong hindi tinatanggap ng society and of course, hindi rin tinatanggap or pinagbabawal ng batas. Ayan. Criminal deviance. Pero yung isang form naman ng deviance, yung tinatawag nilang moral or non-criminal deviance, in which yung mga actions na ginagawa are not really included as a provision of law. Kumbaga, hindi na isa sa batas. But socially and morally, it's considered not appropriate. Considered deviance. Diba? So, for example, ng non-criminal deviance is, sa tingin ng iba, ang pagiging liberal. Yan. O yung pagiging outgoing, pagiging wild. Diba? Liberal type of mindset. Liberal type of life. Some others consider it as deviant kasi hindi siya yung conservative o yung normal way of living. Again, it's non-criminal kasi hindi naman pinagbabawal ng batas. Hindi naman nakasaad sa batas. But once it is mentioned and prohibited by law or is inherently wrong in itself, that deviance could be criminal. Okay? For example, alcoholism. Pag minor ka, that is criminal deviance. Yan. At the same time, moral. Diba? Pero pag nasa legal na age ka na, drinking or even gambling is already both non-criminal and criminal deviance. Ayan. That is for gambling, okay? Alcoholism, hindi man siya pinagbabawal ng gobyerno, but it is somewhat morally wrong for others. Ayan. Being nude in public places, it is a deviance in itself, wrong in itself. At the same time, pwede ka rin makasuhan na violation ng mga local ordinances. Killing is deviance. It is inherently and legally wrong. Ayan. So there are different theories under deviant place theory which supports that if people could easily be influenced by their environment, it would be supported by various factors. Ayan. Yung konsepto kasi ng deviance, or yung paggawa ng mali. For offenders, there's a complex set of norms. Complex set of requisites, kumbaga. Diba? May mga bagay na mali gawin sa isang lugar, na sa ibang lugar, hindi man naman siya nagiging mali. May mali sabihin sa isang grupo or directed sa isang grupo, pero sa ibang grupo, hindi naman siya mali. Hindi naman siya deviant. Like for example, nung panahon, hindi na-imagine ng mga nauna sa atin na magkakaroon ng virus na kasing laki tulad ng nararanasan natin ngayon. So, they thought na yung ibang mga taong nagmamask or nagpa-face mask were somewhat paranoids or idiots. They consider it as deviant. Hindi naman siya pinagbabawal ng batas pero socially awkward. Socially wrong. But now, nagkaroon na ng ganitong sitwasyon sa mundo, they realize the importance of it. So there are 4 theories related to deviance. First, we have the differential association theory, which is started and proponent niyan si Edwin Sutherland. Okay? He coined the term differential association in order to address issues kung paano naiintindihan ng tao ang pagkakamali and also understand what deviance really is. Ayan. Kung saan, sinabi niya na the environment is one major factor which provides kung ano ang dapat gawin ng tao at kung ano ang hindi pwedeng gawin ng tao. Kumbaga, yung ating environment ang somehow nagabuot kung saan atong dapat buhaton o dili buhaton. Ayan. The environment plays a big role in how we act and how we behave. And for those people who go beyond that type of boundary would somehow be different, would be deviant in themselves. Ayan. And those people who would join with those deviant people would also be considered deviant themselves. Okay? Next. Socializing agents, yung mga taong nasa environment natin, these people are the ones that could have a big impact on how we live, how we behave, and how we grow. Those people that you're seeing on the screens right now are yung mga words na yan. Those individuals are reference groups of people and how they behave. And if those individuals could somehow teach them right or wrong would also matter in how those people would approach you. Diba? For example, parents. Naiuban sa atuan na ang parents somehow really cares for us. Yan, nandyan talaga, supportive. But unfortunately, there are some others whose parents are not really there. Siguro nagtatrabaho sa ibang lugar. Or their parents, unfortunately, does not care about them. They're the teachers. at all levels of life, all levels of education. Sa pinakaunan yung teacher hanggang sa mga recent ninyong mga teachers. They're the ones who mold you and let you understand the workings, not just in the classroom, but also some of them will teach you learnings on how to deal with life. Yan, mga ministro, okay? Mga pare ninyo, mga imam ninyo, or yung mga pastor ninyo. Spiritual guidance ang binibigyan nila. And of course, it's a religion. So there is some form of socialization. Ayan. They will be the one to teach you how to view other religions and how to view other people. Of course, family, the basic unit of society. Kung saan ang pamilya, ang pinakaunang taong nag-alaga sa atin. Regardless if that family is complete or not, it's still family. They might influence you. They would really influence you kung paano ka magbe-behave. Friends, yes, friends. But again, the problem is, there are friends, especially on the younger stages, who only wants to live life like it's their last. Most commonly sa ating mga kabataan, may mga kaibigan na hindi iniisip yung kanilang kinabukasan. They only live for today, which could somehow impact their group of friends. May iba na maglalasing maninigarilyo. Or, kato na lang siguro ilang group of friends, ganahan mo laag, avoid school, and others might influence them. The same goes with co-workers, mga adults. And of course, ngayong panahon, the advent of social media with a great influence not just on how we live, but especially ngayong panahon, on how we see things on a global stage. Paano natin nakikita ang buhay sa ibang lugar? Ayan. Those are socialization agents which, if hindi nabigyan ng tamang guidance, any one of those could somehow influence deviant behavior. Another theory, aside from the differential association theory, yung that, is the anomy theory by Emil Durkheim, together with Robert Merton. Yan. Anomy refers to normlessness. Kumbaga, chaos. Nga naman, na ay confusion with everyone. In anomy, the confusion arises when social norms o yung mga socially accepted na normal sa ating society have a conflict or wala talagang social norms. Kung anong gawin mo, bahala ka na. Yan ang anomy. It's somehow anarchy. Yan. Similar to not having any law. According to Robert Merton, itong anomy theory was used to describe the differences between socially accepted goals and the availability of means to achieve it. Ayan. Dahil may standards ng society kung paano ka magbe-behave, paano ka mag-a-act. There are different goals in life, different methods of achieving your goals. And if kung available yung mga methods na yon para makamit mo ang gusto mo, then it will be given. But what if may mga goals in life na yung pamamaraan to achieve it are not socially accepted? How would individuals react to it? Ayan. Part of anomy theory. Ayan. For example, attaining wealth. May iba na naging mayaman dahil artista sila. May iba naging mayaman dahil negosyante sila. May ibang mayaman na investment through the course of time or nag-ipon. May iba naging mayaman dahil sa mga maling gawain. Sabihin natin, parte sila ng mga sindikato or any other criminal organization, which is the reason why they attained wealth. In anime, there are different routes in succeeding, different routes in failing. But what it shows us is that there are methods that are legal, not illegal, and there are also methods that are socially acceptable and not socially acceptable. Ayan. Yan yung tinatawag na road or roads to riches. Yung tinatahak na daan para lumago ang buhay. Ayan. Another example of anime that I like to highlight, ayan. Achieving a position. Ayan. May iba sa mga nakikita natin, you've achieved it through different methods. Socially acceptable ba or hindi? The fact does not remove that they achieved something. Ayan. Hindi natin may de-deny. May mga drug lords na yumaman. Yes. Meron ding mga empleyadong yumaman. Yes. All of them achieved a position, achieved a status. Kahit sa iba't ibang pamamaraan. That's an example of anime. Yan. But what if walang standard method in achieving your goals? Wala kang daanan na maitatahak para ma-achieve mo yung kagustuhan mo. Ayan. What if normlessness comes and everybody would only live for themselves? Diba? Wala nang socially accepted na mga behavior, which could somehow instill fear and somehow would increase the occurrence of normless acts such as killing, yan, and all other negatives na maiisip ninyo. Ayan. Another theory with deviant place theory is control theory by Travis Hershey. Yan. Together with Walter Reckless, kung saan, according kay Reckless, both the inner and outer controls work against deviant tendencies. Yan. Kumbaga, itong internal and external or outer controls ang nagde-determine kung pwede ba natin gawin ang isang bagay or hindi. 'Di ba? For example, pumunta kayo sa mall, gusto nyong nakawin yung isang bagay sa mall. Mamahaling bagay. Ayan. Dahil gustong-gusto nyo. Ayan. Internal controls. What if yung konsensya mo or yung naituro sa'yo from the time that you were young, sinasabi na wag mong gawin yan. Kasi masama yan. Ayan. The moment you come to think of it, that's already an internal control. Yung values nyo, yung integridad ninyo, pati moralidad ninyo, ang nagko-control. Sige, hindi ko na lang gagawin to kasi masama ito. Yan. That's internal control working. But what if walang konsensya yung tao? What if the person does not have a conscience or does not have or lacks morality and integrity? Ayan. Walang control. Same goes with other controls. Diba? Sa triangle of crime, capable guardian. Itong outer control measures, ito sila ang mga capable guardians. Those who will guide you or stop you from doing something wrong. Ayan. Next. Also, sa control theory, according kay Travis Hershey, itong inner and outer controls or restraints ang bumubuo sa self-control ng tao. At kung ang tao may self-control or may proper self-control, it is possible for that person to have a high level of socialization. Magkakaroon siya ng magandang relasyon sa mga taong nakakahalubilo niya. Okay? So, before I proceed, are there any questions or clarifications for that? Meron ba? Questions or clarification? Meron ba?
Wala, sir.
Okay, let's proceed next. Yan. Another theory is the labeling theory. You have encountered this in your introduction to criminology. But again, just to refresh your mind, itong labeling theory, ang concern nito is that may mga taong nilelabel ng ibang tao. Yes. Or binibigyan ng simbolo ng ibang tao. 'Di ba? It holds that yung mga labels or symbols or reactions ng ibang tao towards another person could influence the mindset and behavior of the person being labeled. At yung label sa kanila, hindi positive. Consider them as deviant. For example, tanan bang tao na nakapuyo sa mga areas like Tondo, kanang mga slum areas, tanan ba sila dira? Mga kawatan ba? Mga mamamatay tao ba? Mga masasamang tao ba sila lahat dyan? That itself, yung sinabi ko, is a label na sila ay masama. That is labeling theory. And of course, dahil yung mga tao doon narinig, puro na lang negatibo ang mga narinig natin sa taga-Tondo. So, bakit di na natin patunayan? Ayan. The moment that people or a person proves that the deviant label toward them are true, yan na ang nagiging negative effect ng labeling theory. Yan, di ba? Ingnon ni mong isa ka tao, way pulos o bugo. Di ba? That is a label for them. Yan. But what is much more worse is if a group of people labels you negatively and then somehow pinatunayan mo yon, gumawa ka rin ng masama. You became deviant. You became accountable. Okay? Next. Social strain typology. It states that social structures within the society may pressure citizens to commit a crime. For example, ngayong panahon ng pandemya. I understand that there are individuals who are working while on online classes. Pero isipin natin yung much more worse. There are still people who used to be going to school pero hindi na pumapasok sa eskwelahan. Tungod sa kapait sa atong panahon. And that itself would force them to commit certain crimes. Diba? Tungod wa na'y kwarta o wa na'y trabaho, uban sa ilang mangawat na lang. Or tungod wala sila'y signal, patay na lang sila para makakuha og signal. Ayan. Social strain. For example, kagaya sa mga ibang nationalities like Japanese people. Kabalot ang mga Japanese people, they are always wary of their reputation. They have that shame-based society kung saan konting bahid lang ng pagkakamali sa kanilang pamilya or kanilang sarili, they would somehow tend to commit suicide. Kasi mas pipiliin nila na mamatay kaysa mabuhay ng walang reputasyon. Because they were forced as a measure of society sa kanila. It is very negative somehow. Diba? Naiuban dira na gibuli lang. Continuous gihapon ginabuli. But unfortunately, hindi na nila nakaya. And they were pressured to retaliate. Much more worse yung ibang mga nabubuli na unfortunately, they would commit suicide. Which still part of social strain typology. People are forced to commit certain deviant acts because they are pressured by themselves or pressured by others to do so. Yan. It explains those things. Yan. So, as what you are seeing there, Robert Merton's typology of deviance was based on two criterias or criterions. First, a person's motivation or adherence to cultural goals. Yan. For example, lumaki kayo na as Catholics or even yung mga Muslim brothers natin. Tinuruan tayo whether it's Catholicism, Christianity, or even in Islam na masama ang manakit ng ibang tao. Ayan. Adherence to cultural goals. Ayan. The next criteria is a person's belief in how to attain his or her goal. So, paano natin gagawin yun na sundin natin yung anong nakasaad sa Quran ba or sa Biblia? So, we would have good relationship with other people. Ayan. For example, also, yung medyo realistic talaga. Gusto nyo maging, sabihin natin, gusto nyo maging artista. Ayan. You have a motivation. And you also set plans on how you achieve. Diba? You believed in yourself that you could be an entertainer or isang artista someday, for example. So you made plans on how to attain your goal. Humanap kayo ng paraan, gumawa kayo ng paraan. But unfortunately, hindi niyo nakamit yung motivation ninyo. Hindi niyo nakamit yung plano ninyo. You failed your dream, for example. That is one reason other people, because of that failure, would tend to become deviant. Di ba? For example, may iba sa mga tao ngayon or mga kabataan ngayon, konting problema lang, they would somehow threaten to commit suicide. Yan. Kasi yung motivation nila wala na. Yung culture nila, somehow different from the regular type of culture. And yung belief nila na ma-attain pa nila yung goal nila, wala na. Those are the two criteria which could also result in committing deviant behavior. Diba? Ang uban sa inyo, gusto mo palitog isa ka butang, pero wa may kwarta. Or you're not able to have enough money to spend it. Pero gustong-gusto ninyo. Kasi yun yung motivation ninyo. Yun yung goal ninyo. So, sobrang gusto nyo sa bagay na yun, ninakaw nyo. Just to achieve your goal. Ayan. There's deviance on that act. The same goes with other people who try to destroy other people. Diba? Utak talang ka. Ayaw nilang umangat yung isa, so babahiran nila ng dumi yung isa para sila naman ang magmukhang malinis. That itself is somewhat not written in the books of law, but it is socially deviant, morally deviant. Ayan. If a person does not have those control measures, then that person would tend to commit those deviant acts. Yan. So, next are the theories derived from strain theory. Ano tong strain theory? Kanang kumbaga murag stretch na mo tungod sa mga nahitabo sa inyo socially and personally. Those who would experience stress or strain would become upset, distressed, and anxious, which would somehow lead to crime. Diba? Nganong ingana? Because of emotion. For example, gibulagan mo sa inyong uyab tungod na siya'y lain, na siya'y bago. Diba? Nagpa-change oil siya. So, of course, yung iniwan would experience stress or strain. Down na down. Distressed and upset. Pero dahil sa sobrang selos niya at sobrang galit niya na pinalitan siya ng biglaan, pinairal niya yung kanyang emosyon. So, pinunta niya yung lalaki na naging kapalit niya, and then gipalo niya paddle. 'Di ba? Gipalo niya paddle hangtod di nakalihok kato lalaki. That act itself is legally and morally wrong. It's deviant. But the root cause of it is that the offender has put his emotions, his negative emotions, as the motivating factor in committing that deviant act. And it is linked to the moment that he was distressed on what he experienced, nagibulagan siya. That's general strain theory. Yan. Also, from that theory, there are three main sources of strains. Ayan. First, loss of positive stimuli. Diba? For example, gibulagan mo sa inyong uyab. Diba? Nya, tragic pa jud. Kay, a day after, nakita ni mo siya, na siya bago. Diba? Ipalitan na kadayon. That itself is loss of positive stimuli. After that, nakita mo sila, yung bago niyang kasintahan, and then you confronted them. You somehow shouted at your ex, diba? That is presentation of a negative stimuli. Pero pwede rin, after ninyo nagbulag, sige kag syagit, sige kag hilak, sige kag panumbag sa mga butang na di mo sukol. That's presentation of a negative stimuli, di ba? Nakadungog na ba mo og isa ka tao na bag-o ra gibulagan niya nanumbag og maskos gan sa iya, ha? It is rare.
Yes, sir. Akong barkada.
Di ba? Ah, come again?
Akong barkada, sir. Nanumbag og kusdan pa sa iya, sir. Kay Broken. Yes.
Nya unsay nahitabo? Daog ba
Dili
siya?
gyapon to.
Di ba?
Dili, sir. Naluoy tong kusdan, sir. Nagpapildi na rin siya.
Uy, nako. Yan. Anyway, the moment na pinakita na niya yung action niya na ganun, yung negative stimuli na yun, yan. That's already the moment na yung strain or yung stress sa loob niya, gusto na niyang ipalabas. Yan. And number 3, the inability to reach a desired goal. Ayan. For example, na isa ka bata, he wanted to become a basketball player. Sabi natin, athlete. Pero sa bawat try niya, sa bawat pagsubok niya, hindi niya pa rin nakamit yung gusto niya makamit. He did his best, but the best that he has was not good enough. So that itself is stressful, di ba? Sabay malipay na di sila maka-achieve sa ilahang goal. Di ba? Kakita na ba mong tao na nalipay after nila mag-fail sa ilahang gusto? No one does that. Everybody who failed in their desired goals would always feel down, would always have that strain in them. Which yung ibang tao hindi makontrol yung strain or sumobra na yung strain sa kanila. They resorted into physical actions or somewhat yung iba nagkaroon ng mental breakdowns because of that strain. Especially ngayong panahon. Maraming negosyong nalulugi, maraming trabahante ang nawawalan ng trabaho, unfortunately. And of course, after nila mawada ng trabaho, maglasingan. Kada adlaw. Hubog kada adlaw. Actually, hubog kada gabi mag-continue kada adlaw. Yan, that's presentation of a negative stimuli. Tungod kay ang ilahang goal na maka-provide og pagkaon silang pamilya, makabot ilang mga gustong makabot, was hampered or halted because they lost their jobs. Yan. Those are sources of strains. Another theory is the institutional anomy theory by Stephen Messner and Richard Rosenfeld. Yan. It possesses that an institutional arrangement with a market, kung saan yung economy or market na yun is allowed to operate and dominate without restraints from other institutions. I'll give you an example. Diba? Na isa ka kumpanya or isa ka dakong kumpanya na i-impluensya and somehow naging considered as monopoly. When I say monopoly, sila na yung nagko-control ng buong economy. Yung buong ekonomiya. And those other businessmen who would like to have their own livelihood, hindi nila makamit yun. Hindi sila makatayo ng sustainable na business tungod kay na ay isa ka company na dominating and without restraints from social institutions such as the government. Kaya lahat ng mga negosyo, whether malaki or maliit, are bound by social restraints such as rules and regulations within their companies and laws made by the government para ang isa ka institution or organization or a business would have equal opportunities and equal advantages compared sa kanilang mga kapwa negosyante. Ayan. But if they could not achieve their goal as an institution, it would cause strain. It would cause normlessness within their organization and the people who are affected with that. Okay? Next, illegitimate opportunity theory by Richard Cloward and Lloyd Olin. Ayan. Kung saan a high number or a high rate of crime are connected with people having illegitimate opportunities and hindi dahil kulang sa legitimate opportunities. To put it simply, nagkakaroon ng maraming instances na may krimen. Hindi dahil kulang ang opportunities para sa mga offenders na magbago, pero dahil yung mga offenders are always surrounded by illegitimate opportunities, are surrounded by negative influence. Kaya continuous pa rin yung paggawa nila ng krimen. Ayan. For example, katong sa ganitong basketball league na gi-suspend, kato tong Chooks to go manata to, di ba? Kay nasakpan, gibaligya ang dola, as in, baligya na, ng labaw pas mall nga baligya na dola. Yan. Some people saw that those people intentionally did that kind of performance dahil sa pera. Ayan. They became deviant. They became a negative influence sa mga tao, hindi dahil nawalan sila ng legitimate opportunity. Nawalan sila ng pagkakataon. Hindi sila nawalan ng pagkakataon kasi may paliga para sa kanila. Ang problema, there are some individuals who offered illegitimate opportunities for them. Kumbaga, na-take advantage sila. Just because they are players daw. Ayan. Kung asa ang uban, tungod pandemya karon, mauna lang ang ilang method of earning money. So, ang uban, siguro wala na sila choice. Sige, baligyan na lang nilang dula para makagahin sila kwarta in order to feed their families. Yan, yun ay para sa iba. But there are some others na gituyo jud og baligya, di ba? But anyway, from that example, illegitimate opportunities are everywhere. The opportunity to commit something deviant is everywhere. Hindi dahil kulang yung tsansa mo na ma-achieve ang goal mo, pero dahil napakarami talagang illegitimate opportunities. In which if a person accepts those illegitimate opportunities, the results are always negative. It would somehow lead to crime. And when a crime occurs, most probably than not, may mabibiktima. Diba? Yung sa example ko kanina, yung sa basketball league na sinuspend, it is not because may mali talaga sa paliga nila. Not really because of that, pero dahil yung mga involved doon were exposed to illegitimate opportunities. Di ba? Yung mga players doon somehow had faults on their own. But we could not deny the fact na dahil sa mga illegitimate opportunities na yon, they somehow were forced to become victim offenders. Kumbaga, biktima sila dahil wala silang magawa. So, they chose the only path na meron, which is to offend. Yan. Strain theory, na-discuss na yan kanina. Hopefully, you understood it. Yan. So, I think that is all for today. We'll continue our discussion tomorrow. Ugma, I would be presenting this presentation. Ayan. Causes and effects of victimization. Madali lang to. I would consume, I think, tomorrow and Thursday for this so that we could be ready for our exam on Monday. Okay? Sa exam natin sa Lunes. Okay? So, are there any questions? Questions, reactions, suggestions from you guys? Meron ba?
Wala po, sir.
Okay, marami sa inyo, both sections, napakarami pa rin ang hindi nakasubmit na mga activities. Especially ngayon na papalapit na matapos ang ULOC. Na, gibawasan na ako akong activities ha, pero gamay gihapon. Kana. So, I'll give you a chance. I will extend the activity na isa sa ULOC. May 2 ang deadline ana. And I will only extend it once. Okay? So, I think that's all for me today. Hope na it is clear sa inyo. May natutunan kayo. And anyway, this is recorded and I would be posting it sa LMS. Okay? So, ayan, thank you for listening. Thank you for participating. And I'll see you on the next session. Okay? Thank you. Good evening and God bless sa inyo.
Thank you,
Salamat, sir.
sir.
Thank you, sir.